Well, thank you so much, Silvia, for joining us. I am so excited to talk to you today. Give us a little bit of an introduction about you. Who is Silvia? What do you do? And what are you super passionate about?
Oh my God. Hi, Lauren. It's so nice. Thank you so much for having me here. I'm so excited to talk to you. So my name is Silvia Manent. I am a financial advisor here in the Boston, Massachusetts area. And I started my firm recently, about 2 years ago almost, to be able to help women, and we have men as well, but mostly women with their investments and really help them plan for all their goals, like their house, buying a home, retirement, etc. So that's a little bit about me. I'm originally from Barcelona, Spain, which is probably what you hear an accent. Yeah. And I've been all over the place. So
amazing. Well, congrats on the new firm. It sounds like it's way overdue considering your background is super incredible. And what is it about women? Why women? Why is it so important to help women with their financial management?
Yes. So of course, when I first started the business, I was going to say it's only going to be about women, right? Only women, because we don't have the power when we don't manage our finances. So I would keep seeing time and time again women getting divorced and being absolutely devastated with not knowing how to manage their money, not knowing, all of a sudden they had no idea how to invest their money, how to make sure that they were protecting themselves because they were on their own. And it was one of the reasons why I really wanted to focus on women specifically, so that I could actually help them and kind of be their CFO, so Chief Financial Officer. So they felt like they had someone when they were either single or divorced. So that was really like where the passion came in, because I just didn't want to have any woman have to go through divorce. And on top of that, feeling horrible about their investment. So
right, because divorce is all about rebuilding, right? And unfortunately, when we go into marriage, unless we have a prenup, everything's community, right? It's all put together. And usually there is a CFO in the relationship, right? Like, honey, this person's going to do all the finances while this person does all the other things, or whatever. We divide and conquer. So I love that you dive into, a specific group of people that really, really need your services. So what would you say is the number one thing that women should do to protect their wealth, especially when they enter something like marriage?
Oh, well, number one, 1,000%, you need to have a prenup. Like I always, and I've said this not because I'm here, I truly believe number one is you have no idea what's going to happen. You have to have a prenup. And some people are against it. They're like, that's not real love. But let me tell you, 30 years, 40 years can go by, and all of a sudden you may have different things that you don't want to, that you don't agree on. So it's just at least go in protecting yourself. Number two is you need to have, and this is very basic, but I don't see a lot of women doing this, is you need to have an appropriate level of cash, and you need to think about what's going to happen to you in the next 20, 30 to 40 years. So if I could give one piece of advice, is people change, things change. You need to protect yourself. I already told my partner that I'm having a prenup if we end up marrying each other. He's not very happy, but I don't care. And number two is making sure that you're financially stable, because that's going to give you so much freedom, and it's going to give you that negotiation power to be able to walk away from anything that doesn't make you happy, right? Whether it's your job, whether it's your husband or your partner, whether it's, where you're living. When you have your financial shit together, and I'm sorry, I didn't
let it rip, girl. Let it rip.
When you have your financial together, you finally, your relationships get better. You get better. You're able to actually walk away from things that don't make you happy. So you're just able to have better choices. And I'm very fortunate in the sense that I started investing at a very young age. I started investing at 21, not with a lot, but I saw really the power that it gave me. And I just want to help people make sure that they're, doing that as well. So
amazing. And you said so many things in there, and I wish I had literally transcribed word for word, because I was like, oh my God, that's so good. That's so good. That's so good. I want to dive into that. The first one in particular is What would you say to someone that is like clutching their pearls as we're talking about prenups? Like, isn't that so taboo? Isn't that only for rich people that already have assets? Isn't it only for celebrities? What would you say to somebody as we're recommending that most women have one? What would you say to them to lower the anxiety that they have around prenups?
So number one, and I think maybe because I'm in this business, and I just see so many women right in their 40s, 50s, all of a sudden they get divorced. And the men that didn't have any money took half of her stuff. And on top of that, the gentleman actually took the inheritance of the woman of the mother. So like, I'm sorry, you may be very in love when you're young, but I just want you to open up your eyes and your mind and see how people are managing their wealth, because it's not about the other person, right? Don't make it about them. Usually, what I recommend with my clients is that they have me tell the spouse that it's important for both of them to have a prenup, so it kind of takes the taboo-ness out of it. But we're seeing just a lot of clients creating prenups, making sure they're creating trust, making sure they have powers of attorney, just setting up your financial stuff together, because you don't want your inheritance or your own money to go to a gentleman that, you know, in 20 years could be having cheated on you, and you're faced with like no money. So I know it's not sexy to talk about it, but it's not, it would be not very wise of you not to protect yourself.
Totally. And that's an angle that we approach here at Hello Prenup as well. It's like we actually think prenups is one of the most romantic things that you can do, because it's really saying, I'm thinking about our future selves and I'm preparing for the best and the worst in sickness and in health, all of the things, because life gets crazy. Things come up. And sometimes it doesn't go as planned. And the data shows us that like 1 in 2 marriages works out. It's just the way it is. And I think if we can lean into the data and the love and the fairy tale ending, we can get everything we want in between. And so a prenup is an agreement. It's an agreement between two people saying, hey, I'm coming to the table with these wants and needs, financially, emotionally, personally, professionally, all the things. And I want to know, what are your needs too? Because I want to make sure that I'm hearing it before our marriage, before we get into it and do the thing, and not when it gets really hairy, scary, and weird and something comes up, right? So it's better to talk about it prior. It's better to do the thing as you are in the honeymoon phase, as you love each other, and not when you resent each other and something does come up and you have to talk about something really scary that you may not be talking about, which is finances. Okay, so let's go back to some of the amazing things you said earlier. So you're going back to your 21-year-old self, and you're investing and you're starting off really, really early. What is some investing advice that you could give someone in their 20s, in their 30s, in their 40s? How do we start? How do we start protecting ourselves as women? And then when it is time to get married, how do we walk into it with a prenup and feel really good about it?
Awesome. So right off the bat, I cannot give specific investment advice, but I can give investment education and maybe things that I would do. My compliance team makes me say that because I'm registered and all this good stuff, right? So I would say if you're 20 years old, I don't care. I don't care if it's $50 or $100, but at least when I first started, it was literally, I had an extra, it was a little bit, it was like 10 grand, $10,000 that I had, that's all. And I didn't really keep investing until I was 25 off of, and I finished my master's. So even though I wasn't planning to keep investing, just putting in the 10,000 in helped me just be way more aware of what was happening in the stock market, and it make me want to be a better investor. And I have to give an amazing example about this because, and this is one of my clients. I'm not going to say who she is, but she's amazing. I love all my clients. And she was a woman, right? She was super good. She's so good at her job. She's a badass. She's now 37, but I've been with her for pretty much like the 10 years that I've been doing this. And when she first came to me, I came to her and I said, hey, let's do a financial plan. And I want to take a look at what you have in your investments. So she's like, all I have is like, you know, I only have $10,000 or $20,000 in this checking. And I have this, that from an inheritance or whatever. And I'm like, okay, so you have roughly, she had about $50,000. But all of a sudden, Silvia Manent started digging And all of a sudden we find a $500,000 401k plan that she did not